Thank you very much, Professor Khrenadi. And we will continue right now with the discussion. First, I would like to call you to raise questions of clarification if there was some notions that was not clear enough and that you want to raise. And then we will enter in the debate, and then you can reflect, ask questions, and give your opinions on what was said. Thank you. So we have two questions there. Is there anyone who will bring micros?
So being compelled to raise a question only of information and so-called quality, I circumvent my comment in a way to Mark and ask him firstly, and perhaps I have the opportunity to give a comment later. Who is we?
C'est une question à laquelle je n'ai pas pu répondre dans le cadre de cet exposé, mais l'idée...
This is the issue I was not able to respond in my paper, but the idea is...
que constitue un nous, ou participent à un nous, ou font partie d'un nous, tous ceux qui se reconnaissent identiquement dans certaines, je dirais, valeurs fondamentales, dans ce que j'appellerais une identité morale.
In this us, I recognize all those who recognize themselves as part of this
Identité
of
morale.
this moral identity.
Par exemple, si on reconnaît la petite éthique, ce que j'appelle la petite éthique, comme étant suprêmement importante, moi je montre qu'elle est problématique, mais si on est d'accord pour dire qu'elle est suprêmement importante parce qu'on ne peut pas revenir en deçà, on constitue une certaine forme de nous moral.
So if we recognize ourselves as the members and supporters of this moral ethics, so that means that if we think that we can go beyond or can imagine the other reflections than the small ethics, then we are part of this as a representative of the small ethics.
Par conséquent, il ne s'agit pas de définir a priori, d'accord, une collectivité, il ne s'agit pas de définir a priori des critères pour dire qui est nous et qui est eux, mais il s'agit au contraire que chacun se reconnaisse dans une identité commune.
The idea is not to define a priori what is us and what are there, but to ask people to recognize themselves as part of the small ethics or global ethics or other way of recognizing themselves in this ethical debate.
Je peux donner un exemple, je vais essayer de le faire très court. J'avais beaucoup travaillé un temps sur le clonage et j'avais été frappé par l'argument bouddhiste en faveur du clonage. Cet argument dit tout individu numériquement distinct a un karma qui lui appartient en propre. Donc clone ou pas clone, il a un karma distinct. Et donc les bouddhistes ne voient pas de problème avec le clonage. J'avais trouvé cet argument très frappant, très beau aussi, mais en fait, indéfendable pour nous. Qui, dans un parlement en Europe, pourrait défendre cet argument ? Il ne le peut pas, parce que ça correspond au fond des principes identitaires fondamentaux qui ne sont pas les nôtres. Voilà. Et donc, c'est un argument qui est en fait inaudible pour nous. Voilà. Ça, c'est une manière de caractériser le nous.
Concerning the issue of cloning, Professor Khrenadi participated in debate with the Buddhists, and then they stated that that's an issue for them because they are recognizing karma, but this is the way how they perceive it, which is not acceptable for us because we are completely in another way of thinking this issue. So.
Oui, mais donc je vais trouver leur argument beau et frappant.
Their argument is really beautiful, but it's striking, yeah.
mais inaudible en fait pour nous.
But we are not able to hear it and to understand it in our mentality. And so the second question goes to Ulrich and then Lucas Savarino.
Thank you very much, both to Lawrence Loff and Mark Hunyadi. I really liked both of your presentations. My question is to Mark Hunyadi. I appreciate your critique of the small ethics, and I think I very much agree with you on some of your views here. It's not really a but still. In much of the theological bioethics, I'm left with an impression that this is a sort of a new insight. So, but in much of the theological bioethics, at least, and in much of the philosophical bioethics as well, many of these reflections tie into the whole discourse on biopolitics, for instance, so that bioethics is much more than just wrestling with ethical issues. It has to do with the larger vision of what kind of society we want, what kind of view of humanity we are striving for. And for instance, in much of theological, well, at least in some strands of theological bioethics, there is an interest in what is, and a critique of what is called the Baconian project, as this whole idea of a increasingly technologized understanding of humanity and of society. And for theological bioethics, that's a very important discussion, because it is a question of where do we place our trust in the future? Do we place it in the hands of biotechnologists, or is there another place where we place our trust in the future? And of course, a theological voice would also point to somewhere else where you could also place your trust in the future. So your argument touches in on a very important theological discussion in bioethics.
La théologie et la philosophie ont beaucoup fait pour dépasser le cadre étroit de la petite éthique. J'en suis tout à fait conscient. Mais ce n'est pas mon problème.
So I acknowledge that theology and philosophy work a lot to go beyond this small ethics, but however...
Mon problème, c'est que nos sociétés libérales sont contraintes, d'une certaine manière, à en rester au niveau de la petite éthique. Elles sont enfermées dans la petite éthique. C'est ça mon problème, c'est qu'il y a une espèce de mécanique libérale, qui est la nôtre, qui fait que, en réalité, en se focalisant sur la petite éthique, eh bien, on oublie l'éthique globale. L'éthique globale, on peut la trouver chez les philosophes, chez les théologiens, etc., etc. Mais elle n'est pas traductible dans les textes à cause de la logique libérale, au fond, qui nous gouverne. Vous ne pouvez pas traduire, si vous voulez, une conception globale du bien-être de l'humanité ou de la société dans des textes législatifs. Notre logique libérale l'interdit, parce que notre logique libérale est focalisée sur l'éthique individualiste. C'est structurel. C'est ça mon problème. Mon problème, c'est donc la traduction d'une éthique globale sur laquelle il faudrait encore s'entendre, naturellement. Ça, c'est un autre problème. Mais le problème, c'est la traduction dans des textes législatifs.
As we're living in liberal societies, the main issue is how to translate this global ethics in the legal texts, which are governed by the small ethics of our liberal society. So we may have, and there is global ethics, but yes, we have to decide what we think and what we want to present as a global ethics, and which is present in the theological and philosophical debates, but it is inaudible, and it can be applied in the legal text which are governed or enclosed in this liberal. So you have another.
Donc, il y a une mécanique libérale, c'est ça qui.
There is
une mécanique libérale qui nous contraint à la petite éthique.
There
Voilà, et
is
toutes les institutions.
mechanics, liberal mechanics, which close us, and
Oui.
all the institutions are
Structurées autour de la petite éthique.
structured around this ethics. You have another question for Lawrence Lwoff, as I understand. No, but I will give a micro to Lawrence to ask Professor Hunyadi. And okay, Luca Severino, please, you may ask. Yes. Hunyadi. Okay.
Okay, it's not clear for me what do you think about human dignity. You say that human dignity is an undefined notion, is a dogmatic notion, and you wrote that is necessary to avoid the use of dogmatic prohibitions based on human dignity. But when you speak about the refugees, you wrote that it is necessary to explain and to accompany them with dignity. So my question is, you have the idea to abandon the notion of human dignity or to reformulate it. It's only the perspective of small ethics that make human dignity a useful concept, or it is possible to recover it in another sense.
Merci. Je n'ai pas dit que la notion de dignité était dogmatique. It's not the notion that is dogmatic, it's the use of it. The use of it, and that's very different. Okay? Dignity is an ascription. You ascribe qualities to an entity, and we can discuss what properties we have to ascribe. But voilà, donc dans l'usage, en fait, donc le dogmatisme, il est dans l'usage. Il est dans l'usage de la notion. Et donc on coupe court, par exemple dans les textes européens qui ont été rappelés, on coupe court aux argumentations, c'est contraire à la dignité humaine. Par exemple, pour la lignée germinale, dans Oviedo, c'est marqué, c'est contraire à la dignité humaine. Ou, non, peut-être pas là, mais dans d'autres textes. Non, mais c'est... Si, c'est marqué... non, mais c'est marqué... Oui, que c'est éthiquement intolérable ou inviolable. Je ne sais plus le mot maintenant, je ne l'ai plus en tête. Bon, et puis alors on remonte de texte en texte, et puis finalement on trouve la notion de dignité toujours. Bon, mais elle n'est jamais définie. Donc ça, c'est ce que j'appelle un usage dogmatique. Voilà, c'est qu'on coupe court à une chaîne argumentative. On ne voit pas très bien pourquoi telle et telle intervention contrevient à la dignité humaine. C'est quelque chose qu'on emploie toujours. On employait ça pour le clonage, on employait ça pour tout le génie génétique, etc. Voilà. Alors après, les adversaires ont la partie facile, si vous voulez, de dire oui, mais vous vous en tenez à un concept extrêmement flou qui ne veut rien dire. Moi, au contraire, dit le chercheur, n'est-ce pas? Moi qui travaille à l'amélioration de l'être humain, je travaille vraiment pour la dignité humaine. Donc, vraiment, on peut, comme c'est une ascription, si vous voulez, on peut y mettre n'importe quoi. C'est ça mon problème. Ok, c'est un peu...
You understand.
Oui, donc non, mais la distinction essentielle, c'est ça, c'est de dire que donc c'est pas la notion qui est dogmatique, c'est l'usage qu'on en fait dans les textes pour couper court à une argumentation.
So for me, it's not term as such which is dogmatic, but the way how we use it in our debates, especially in the legal and juridical aspects, when we use it in order to cut the discussion and the reflection of the issues that are behind. I have two hands here, just to move from this side to this one, and we will return. But before that, I will just give micro to Laura.
Je vais poser ma question en français et je vais la traduire en anglais. Merci pour votre intervention. Elle est très éclairante, je trouve, à de multiples égards. Mais je me pose la question... D'abord, je voudrais juste dire que les textes du Conseil de l'Europe ont été élaborés pour répondre à la mission qui est celle du Conseil. Le Conseil, le travail dans le domaine des droits de l'homme que fait le Conseil n'a pas pour but de considérer que la bioéthique est définie par ce travail. Et que la notion d'éthique se limite à cette approche. C'est simplement la mission du Conseil de travailler dans les droits de l'homme, et dans ce contexte-là, elle répond à ce travail-là. I'm going to say it in English. What I wanted to say is that the work done by the Council of Europe, even though we use the word bioethics, doesn't mean that this approach is considered to be the definition of bioethics. But it's part of the mission of the Council of Europe to protect human rights, and as part of this mission, it considers that the work that is done is contributing to that. However, I think that, je vais passer au français, que le travail normatif est l'aboutissement d'une réflexion éthique. Et cet aboutissement prend une forme normative, certes, qui peut parfois être une interdiction, parfois pas une interdiction, mais la réflexion éthique préalable, elle pourrait être globale. Et je pense qu'elle l'a été aussi. Et que la réflexion, c'est pour moi une expertise entre guillemets collective et non pas individuelle ou spécifique. So what I'm saying is that the norms, the legal instruments are the outcome of an ethical discussions. As I said at the very beginning, ethics is a multidisciplinary and pluralist discussions on those issues. Maintenant, ma question, c'est sur l'interdiction du profit, par exemple, si le...
I would like to have the normal discussion taking place here in English. Then perhaps it might be
sorry.
translated into French, but we all agreed on speaking English.
Okay.
If someone doesn't want or is not able, then okay, it's fine, but
Okay.
it's not fair.
I was trying to do both ways to facilitate the discussion. So I'm going to put my question in English, and then if you don't understand, then... Okay. My question is with regard to that principles on the prohibition of financial gain, for example, which in prohibition of financial gain, l'interdiction du profit. Okay. If you would have approached these questions from a global ethics perspective, does that mean that there will be no limitation possible, or is it just the way, the path through the conclusions that is problematic? I'm wondering whether the approach that you are proposing, and I think it's extremely relevant, but would that lead to no limitation at all, because by essence it's incompatible with this? Or would that actually might lead to limitation as well, but not with the same element of reasoning? I'll be interested in your question on this, in your answer, sorry, on this.
J'ai pas bien compris ce que vous utilisez. Par limitation, ce que vous entendez par limitation. Quelle limitation?
Vous avez dit que...
Vous pouvez le dire en anglais. Non, mais dites-le en anglais, parce que je n'ai pas compris le...
You mentioned in your speech at one point that petite éthique is leading then to prohibitions and limits. I personally think that there might be limits, but they are not necessarily vocations to stay forever, and that's exactly what the convention says. But independently of this, my impressions, and that's my questions, on the opposite is to say that if you have not a petite éthique approach to it, there will be potentially no limit. So I'm not sure that I understand it right. So I was asking you on these very specific provisions on prohibition of financial gain, whether with the approach that we have now will lead to a prohibition. Would the approach that you're proposing may not lead to a prohibition, or potentially that still be possible? It's just the way to reach that conclusion that might be different.
Okay, thank you. L'idée, c'est de dire que la petite éthique, elle est nécessaire. Donc ça, c'est le point de départ. Donc des limitations, il en faut. Toutes les protections des droits et des libertés que vous défendez, il faut absolument les défendre. Mon problème... Okay.
So my main idea is the small ethics indispensable. So we start from the small ethics.
Mon problème, c'est que c'est le seul horizon éthique qui est actuellement en place. Et que ça bloque la réflexion sur une éthique globale qui serait beaucoup plus orientée sur le sens des différentes recherches. Parce que... Okay.
So my main problem is that we are limited to the small ethics, and that there is no global vision of the meaning of different aspects that we are dealing with the small ethics.
Ce que vous... En fait, hier, j'ai posé une question à Robin sur le marché. En fait, ce que je voulais dire, donc moi j'ai dit marché, et vous avez entendu profit individuel. Mais ce n'est pas ce que je voulais dire. Ce que je voulais dire, c'était que le marché imposait l'agenda de la recherche.
This question was raised yesterday with Robin when I asked about the market trade. It was understood as individual profit, but it was not the same thing, I thought. I think that our agendas are regulated by the markets.
C'est ça, c'est l'agenda général de la recherche qui est dicté par le market, par le marché, les entreprises privées, et ensuite les entreprises privées sont elles-mêmes imitées par la recherche publique, qui ne veut pas être en retard, il y a tout cet aspect de compétition, vous l'avez mentionné vous-même hier, et un aspect... Bon, ça c'est le marché. Si on s'intéressait au sens de tout cela, c'est-à-dire si on orientait la recherche vers vraiment le bien-être humain, vous voyez, je pense que la recherche aurait un tout autre aspect. Je peux faire cette hypothèse, que la recherche aurait un tout autre aspect. En tout cas, ce que permet la petite éthique, c'est ça mon problème, en fait. Ce que permet la petite éthique, c'est que, par exemple, la recherche soit aux mains du marché. Voilà. Vous permettez ça, vous blanchissez le marché. Vous blanchissez le marché. C'est-à-dire que, ça c'est important, blanchir. Hein, je ne sais pas comment on dit en anglais, blanchir. Comme on blanchit de l'argent. OK. Vous blanchissez le marché. Avec la petite éthique, elle blanchit le marché. Et donc, elle laisse libre cours au marché et donc à l'agenda qu'impose le marché.
My problem is that if we approach the ethical issues with these small ethics, there is a kind of a landering of these small ethics. And
c'est le marché qui est...
the markets is using the system to provide what their ethics is, and that the research will be completely different if it were guided by the global ethics and not small ethics.
Can I just make a comment on this? I think that I'm not sure that actually it's laundering it, but it missed the force to resist. That's different. And I don't know whether there is a tool, but I don't think that it's intended to be as you describe. I think that possibly now there are different forces. I mean, the scientific environment has completely changed. There are different stakeholders, different forces, different attitudes of governments, and what has been protected for long times and continue to be present as and in need to be protected may be having difficulty to really stick to that objective now. And I think that's different than paving the way for that. It's probably lack maybe of sufficient force. So I think that's a slightly different. I mean, we might agree on the result, but not necessarily on the reason why this is the case at the moment.
Okay. Donc, ce que je veux dire, ça c'est très important. Bon, you say it misses the force to resist. I say more. I say from the liberal mechanics, okay, point of view. Small ethics goes along with the market, and you c'est blanchir. Donc, comme on blanchit de l'argent, hein, l'argent sale. Money laundry. So you make ethical laundry.
So
Not small ethics. Ethical laundry.
I don't take personally, don't worry.
yeah, I have this from this side, Brandon and
First of all, thank you both very much. Very interesting. And I also would have raised the question raised by Laurence about, and you made the point about where we would, if some of what you are describing, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your surname because I haven't got my glasses. Mark, do you mind if I call you Mark? Struck me as very, there was a level of interiority to it. You were talking about the quality of ethics, and I was reflecting on how that interiority could then be incorporated in the sorts of discussions that and committees that Laurence has been described. And I have a question and one comment, brief comment, a question for you both. If what you're describing sounds a little bit like a council of despair at the moment, and I'm sure you don't intend it to be a council of despair, where do you see permeability? In other words, where do you see the openness for the sort of bigger picture, richer, thicker ethical discourse being able to be incorporated in the sorts of discussions that we are talking about at the Council of Europe? And I also would ask Laurence the same thing. Can you imagine, I mean, you're saying you don't understand the discussions as necessarily being thin, but could you envisage a thicker discourse which allowed for some of these wider issues being incorporated in the discussions? Or is it about bodies like this body and other bodies being confident in the way they present their arguments? And just while leaving those two questions with you, I do have a comment. At the moment in England, there's a lot of openness among the artificial intelligence community, who are notoriously considered, certainly in the States, to be being driven by market forces and capitalism and all the rest of it. But we are noticing, certainly the Church of England and various ethical thinkers, that there's a huge demand for the ethical contributions now of theologian ethicists, because the artificial intelligence science community are recognizing a need for the grande éthique, you know, the quality. They really want it. So I think there are a lot of cutting-edge science is actually realizing that there is a huge need now. The need is driving that need for wider and thicker discussions. So that's a comment, but I do have a question about the possibility of change and how you both might envisage that. Or, Laurence, I don't know, you may not think that it's actually necessary.
Who would like to start?
Well, thanks for your question. Actually, I think it's already embedded, maybe not on all the issues. I just want to say that I think legal instrument is only a tool. It's only an outcome to materialize something that needs to be protected. And I did not understand from the presentations by Mark that he felt that there was nothing to be protected. So the question that could be put is whether legal instrument in this global ethics systems would remain a tool, and then how you would formulate a legal principle then. What I'm saying is that I think that some of the discussions that led to the conventions or to other human rights protection instruments were not limited to the petite éthique, as we said, which to me is, I understand this as the very last phase, but the first one for me is not. And how it materialized may be criticized. But fundamentally, my question is more whether in this new prospect, if you see legal instrument as tools to serve discussions and the protection of value, which I think is also the objective of global ethics, this would still be possible, or whether it should constantly be open. And for me, it's the governance mechanism that would go with global ethics that I think would be interestingly be developed to see that. I think that what I agree is that the evolution of the field we are dealing with is such that it forces everybody to reconsider the governance mechanism that have been put into play. And that might lead to change also in the legal instrument, in the legal tools, in all those aspects. And I can see, obviously, that I don't see very difference between petite éthique, only as the petite éthique is just the outcome of a reflection that is now in the place as being used, but it was not necessarily intended to that. Maybe now it's interesting to serve certain objectives that are criticized, and I think probably maybe also criticized by those who are actually been working in this field. but I don't see necessarily such a big gap, except in the nature of the tool that you would be using. And then there's a question for Mark, because I don't have the answer.
Moi, je suis résolument optimiste, précisément pour la raison que vous avez dite vous-même, c'est-à-dire que les gens, de plus en plus, se mobilisent dans plein de domaines, pas seulement pour l'intelligence artificielle, il y a plein d'autres domaines, en économie, le mouvement des communs, je sais pas, enfin, on pourrait donner beaucoup d'exemples. Le problème, c'est qu'ils n'ont pas d'institution pour se faire entendre. Donc leur action reste nécessairement locale.
I think that I am optimistic, especially as you mentioned that our society is more and more mobilized to think artificial intelligence, but other way of living in common and other issues. But my major problem is that I think that we don't have institution or the vehicle to raise and reflect on those issues.
Oui, on n'a pas d'institution pour donner corps à cette volonté d'agir collectif. Okay? Et je pense qu'une éthique globale, elle ne doit pas être éthique globale au sens du pape, par exemple. Il a une éthique globale, mais je pense que l'éthique de la bioéthique doit être pluraliste et surtout permettre l'existence, si vous voulez, par exemple pour la recherche, doit permettre l'existence de voies pluralistes dans la recherche. Aujourd'hui, elle est dominée par le marché, ça, je suis désolé. Ou alors, enfin, j'aimerais que les chercheurs me disent le contraire, mais elle est dominée par l'agenda du marché, donc elle n'est pas pluraliste.
By saying that I would need a global ethic doesn't mean a unique ethics as that of Pope, but it also it might be a pluralistic one, but that there is a debate, and that debate and research are not only maintained by the agenda of the market, but that is more wider, and so pluralistic, rich, and global in that sense, but not uniquely assigned to markets and the result of the needs of markets. I have the possibility to have one question, Brandon, there, and then we will have a coffee break. We will have discussions in the working groups where we can continue to reflect on this, and when we will return for the end of the conference, we will be able to continue the debates. Otherwise, we will be related to